Imagine a world where your social standing, your status, it dictates your whole worth right from birth.
Yeah, it's kind of baked into the system.
Now, picture a moment where those really deep-seated beliefs get totally shattered, not by force, but just by sharp thinking and some serious spiritual insight.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really getting into an ancient text, the Ambaṭṭhasuttaṃ. It's this amazing story that, well, it basically redefines what being well-born or truly superior even means.
Right.
Our mission here is to pull out those core ideas about real wisdom, real conduct, the stuff that goes way beyond those, superficial labels.
And you're going to hear how this young, pretty arrogant scholar has his whole world just flipped upside down.
And then his own highly respected teacher follows him. It leads to this really surprising transformation.
It's like a masterclass in challenging those assumptions we all carry around. And I think you'll find some, well, genuinely surprising things in here.
Definitely.
Okay, so let's set the scene. We have the Blessed One, Gotama, as he's also known. He's traveling through Kosala.
Right, this region in ancient India.
And he's got quite a following, like 500 monks with him. They arrive at this forest grove near a Brahmin village called Ichanagala.
And his reputation, even back then, was huge. It wasn't like he was unknown. Word had spread, far and wide.
About him being.
Well, the Arahant, the fully self-enlightened one.
Yeah.
Perfect in knowledge and conduct, knows the worlds, the ultimate guide, teacher for gods and humans, the awakened one. I mean, the list goes on.
Wow.
And his teaching, the Dhamma, was seen as just beautiful start to finish. Perfect, pure.
Quite the reputation. So into this picture comes this figure, Pokkharasāti.
Yeah, Pokkharasāti. He's a big deal Brahmin, lives in a place called Ukka. Land given to him by the king, actually, King Pasenadi.
So he's influential.
Very. And he hears all this amazing stuff about Gotama.
And his first thought is?
Well, he has this student, Ambaṭṭha, super bright kid, knows the 3 Vedas, grammar, history, the works. And he even knows this specific Brahmin teaching the 32 marks of a great man.
Ah, the signs that predict someone will be either a great king or a Buddha.
Exactly. And here's the kicker. Ambaṭṭha thinks he's basically as smart as his teacher, Pokkharasāti. He's got a bit of an ego.
Okay, I see where this might be going. Brilliant, but maybe a little too sure of himself.
You got it. So Pokkharasāti tells Ambaṭṭha, go check this Gotama guy out. See if he really has these 32 marks.
Verify the hype.
Pretty much. And Ambaṭṭha, despite thinking he's Pokkharasāti's equal, says okay.
So how does Mr. Confident approach the Enlightened One? I'm guessing not with a lot of bowing and scraping.
Well, not at all. It's actually quite shocking. You find some monks, ask where Gotama is. They point him to the dwelling, tell him, be quiet, knock first. Basic courtesy.
But Maya.
He just strolls in and starts talking to the Buddha, who is seated, mind you, while he, Ambaṭṭha, is just walking around or standing there.
Wow. That's deliberately disrespectful, isn't it, in that culture?
Hugely disrespectful.
Yeah.
Almost like he's trying to provoke him.
And the Buddha's reaction, does he get angry?
Nope. Classic Buddha, calm, collected. He just gently asks Ambaṭṭha, hey, is this how you normally talk to your elders, your teachers?
Ooh, subtle but pointed.
Very. But Ambaṭṭha doesn't take the hint. His reply is just scathing.
What does he say?
He basically says, yeah, this is how I talk to shaven-headed ascetics, lowly, dark offspring of the Buddha's family's slave women.
Whoa, he actually said that. He's calling the Buddha and his monks low-status commoners, basically descended from slaves.
Pretty much. He's using birth status as a weapon, straight up.
And he keeps going, right, complaining about the Sakyans, the Buddha's own people.
Yeah, he doubles down. He tells the story about visiting the Sakyan assembly hall in Kapilavatthu. Says they were all laughing and joking, ignored him completely, didn't even offer him a seat.
So his conclusion is?
That these lowly Sakyans have no respect for Brahmins like him. He's painting this picture of the Buddha and his whole clan as fundamentally inferior because of their birth and their perceived lack of manners towards Brahmins.
Okay, so Ambaṭṭha has laid out his case based entirely on birth and social standing. How does the Buddha respond to this direct attack?
This is where it gets really interesting. Instead of getting defensive about the Sakyans, the Buddha turns the tables. He uses Ambaṭṭha's own logic, the logic of lineage, against him.
Yeah.
He calmly asks Ambaṭṭha, so what's your clan, your gata?
And Ambaṭṭha says,
Goshyana.
And then comes the bombshell.
Exactly. The Buddha just drops it. Well, actually, if you trace your lineage back, maternally and paternally, the Sakyas, they're your master's sons. And you, You're descended from a Sakya slave woman.
Oh, wow. Talk about pulling the rug out. That's the first big aha moment.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
It completely shatters Ambaṭṭha's premise. The Buddha isn't just trying to embarrass him. He's starting to dismantle this whole idea that birth equals worth.
So how does he back this up? He tells the origin stories, doesn't he?
He does. First, the Sakya origin. There was this King Ukaka, an ancestor. He exiled his older sons Ukamukha, Karkano, Hatinika, Siopura, because he wanted his favorite queen's son to inherit the throne.
Standard royal politics, I guess.
Kind of. So these exiled princes, they settle way out in the Himalayas near a pond in a big sal forest. And to keep their royal line pure, they intermarried with their own sisters.
I married their sister. Wow. Okay, that's
A radical one, yeah. But when King Ukaka heard about it, he apparently was impressed by their determination. He exclaimed, "Sakyas indeed are the princes, most capable indeed." And Sakya essentially means capable or able, so that's how they got their name.
Okay, preserving the bloodline at all costs. And
Yeah.
then the Kanchiana story, Ambaṭṭha's lineage.
Even more surprising, in a way. King Ukaka also had this slave woman, Disa. She had a son named Kasha,
Okay.
and this baby, Kasha, supposedly spoke right after birth. Said things like, "Wash me, mother. Bathe me. Get this impurity off me. I'll help you."
A talking baby.
Yeah.
That's unusual.
Definitely. And people back then apparently called kids like that Pisaka, which could mean like a demon or maybe just unlucky, or Darkputta also means dark or black. So the clan name Kachayana comes from this ancestor, Kanta.
So the Buddhist point is crystal clear. Ambaṭṭha, Mr. High and Mighty Brahmin, you're descended from a Sakya slave woman and an ancestor considered, well, maybe a bit demonic or unlucky.
Exactly. It completely flips Ambaṭṭha's whole argument about Sakyan inferiority. His entire basis for feeling superior just evaporated.
How does Ambaṭṭha even react? I mean, his companions are there too, right?
Yeah, they jump in, try to defend him, talk about how noble and learned he is. But the Buddha isn't having it. He looks straight at Ambaṭṭha and says, basically, confirm it. Tell the truth about your lineage. If you don't,
Uh-oh.
your head will split into 7 pieces.
Woo! 7 pieces. He actually says that. That's not messing around.
Not at all. And it gets even more intense. Suddenly, this powerful being, a yaksha, like a nature spirit, or a guardian figure called Vijjācaraṇa, appears. He's hovering right above Ambaṭṭha.
Vijjācaraṇa, meaning thunderbolt-handed.
That's the one. And he's holding this massive, blazing iron club, ready to smash Ambaṭṭha's head if he lies.
And only Ambaṭṭha and the Buddha can see him.
Exactly. It adds this terrifying supernatural pressure just for Ambaṭṭha. Talk about high stakes.
I can only imagine. So Ambaṭṭha sees this fiery death club hanging over him.
And he just breaks.
Yeah.
Completely terrified, shaking. He turns to the Buddha, basically seeking protection, and confesses everything. He confirms the whole lineage story just as the Buddha told it.
It's a brutal way to get to the truth, but maybe necessary, confronting that reality, however humiliating.
Seems like it. But then, when Ambaṭṭha's friends start mocking him, the Buddha steps in again.
To defend Ambaṭṭha, after all that.
Sort of. He stops the mockery, but then he elevates Ambaṭṭha's ancestor, Kanta. He reveals Kanta wasn't just some weird talking baby. He was actually a great seer, an isi, a powerful sage.
Really? The one they
What?
call Pisaka.
Yeah. The Buddha explains that Kanta, using his knowledge of powerful Brahma mantras, these sacred chants, actually compelled King Ukaka to give him his own daughter, Madhurupi, as a wife.
Wait, the slave woman's son married the king's daughter because of his spiritual power.
Exactly. It shows that Kanta's spiritual attainment, his inner power, overcame his low birth status, even challenging the king's authority. The Buddha's making a crucial point here. True greatness comes from inner qualities, not just birth.
That's a huge pivot. So birth isn't irrelevant, but spiritual power can trump it.
Precisely. And the Buddha doesn't stop there. He then uses Ambaṭṭha's own Brahmin framework to dismantle Brahman's superiority even further. He sets up these thought experiments about intercaste marriage.
Okay, like what?
Like, okay, imagine a Kshatriya prince, that's the warrior ruler caste, considered high, has a son with a Brahmin maiden. Can that son become a king?
Probably not, because the royal line comes from the father.
Right. But can he participate in Brahmin rituals? Study the Vedas, marry Brahmin women?
Yes.
Because his mother is Brahmin, so he gets Brahmin privileges, but not Kshatriya ones.
Okay.
Now flip it. A Brahmin prince has a son with a Kshatriya maiden. Can he become king?
Still no, right? Because the lineage is through the father.
Correct. But can he participate in Brahmin rituals and studies? Yes, because his father is Brahmin. So again, he gets Brahmin privileges, but not Kshatriya ones. The Buddha points out that in both these mixed scenarios, the Kshatriya status is the one that's restricted, implying it's considered the higher, more exclusive lineage in practice, even by Brahmins.
Ah, subtly turning their own rules against them. That's clever.
It gets better. He asks, what if a Brahmin is disgraced, like head shaved, beaten, kicked out of town? Does he keep his Brahmin privileges, eating with Brahmins, studying, marrying?
Ambaṭṭha has to admit, no, he loses everything.
But then, what if a Kshatriya is disgraced in the exact same way? Can he still sit and eat with Brahmins, study with them, marry them?
And Ambaṭṭha admits, yes, he can.
Yes. So the Buddha's conclusion is devastating for Brahmin pride. Even when a Kshatriya is totally disgraced, they still hold a higher social standing relative to Brahmins than a disgraced Brahmin does.
Wow. So even at their lowest point, the Kshatriya is considered somehow above.
Exactly. It completely undermines the idea of inherent Brahmin supremacy based on birth. And then the Buddha seals it with this ancient verse from a figure called Brahmin Sanan Kumara.
What does the verse say?
The Kshatriya is supreme among those who trace their lineage, but one perfect in knowledge and conduct is supreme among gods and humans.
Ah, there it is again. Shifting from lineage to knowledge and conduct.
Right. The Buddha affirms this verse. He's saying, okay, if you must talk about lineage, Kshatriyas seem to win even by your own logic. But the real measure, the ultimate measure of greatness, isn't lineage at all. It's Vijjācaraṇa, knowledge and conduct.
So what exactly is this knowledge and conduct, this Vijjācaraṇa, according to the Buddha? It's clearly not just about knowing the Vedas like Ambaṭṭha.
No, definitely not. The Buddha explains it's not about your birth, your clan, or feeling proud about those things. Those are actually obstacles.
Hindrances.
Right. True Vijjācaraṇa is achieved when someone like a Tathagata, a Buddha, appears and teaches the path. It involves, first, perfect moral conduct, sila, living ethically.
Okay, makes sense.
Second, mastering meditation, specifically attaining the 4 jhanas. These are deep states of concentration where the mind becomes incredibly clear and purified.
So ethical living and deep meditation. What else?
And third, gaining profound knowledge, Vijja. This isn't just book learning, it's direct experiential insight.
Like what kind of insight?
Things like remembering your past lives, developing the divine eye, which is like clairvoyance, seeing beings pass away and be reborn according to their karma, and the ultimate knowledge. Understanding how defilements cease, knowing completely that you're free, that there is no more coming to be in this state. Liberation.
That's way beyond academic knowledge. That's enlightenment itself.
Pretty much. That's the unsurpassed perfection. No other knowledge or conduct is higher than that. It's all about inner transformation and liberation.
Okay, so that's the pinnacle. But then the Buddha talks about these 4 downfalls, right? For people who don't achieve this high level of knowledge and conduct, what are those?
Yeah, he says those who can't reach the real goal often resort to lesser practices. And by doing so, they effectively become like servants to those who do achieve the ultimate Vijjācaraṇa. It's quite dismissive, actually.
So what are these lesser servant-like practices?
One is being a forest hermit who just eats whatever fruit falls from the trees. Another is digging up roots and fruits for food. Third is performing fire rituals, a common Brahmin practice. And fourth is building a public rest house with 4 gates at a crossroads to offer hospitality to ascetics.
So things that might look spiritual or pious on the surface,
but are considered vastly inferior to the actual path of liberation through ethics, meditation, and wisdom. They're distractions almost.
And then the Buddha puts Ambaṭṭha on the spot again, doesn't he? Asks him directly about his own practice.
He does. He asks, so Ambaṭṭha, have you or your teacher Pokkharasāti actually achieved this true knowledge and conduct as Vijjācaraṇa?
And Ambaṭṭha has to admit.
Nope. And then the Buddha asks, well, okay, do you even do these lesser practices? Are you guys living in the forest eating fallen fruit or digging roots?
And the answer is still no.
Still no. It's this brutal moment of realization for Ambaṭṭha, and maybe for the listener too, that despite all his learning, all his status, he and his esteemed teacher are spiritually empty by this ultimate standard. They haven't achieved the real goal, and they're not even engaging in the consolation prize practices.
Their whole claim to spiritual superiority is just hollow.
Completely hollow. And the Buddha isn't quite done yet. He twists the knife a little further, pointing out the hypocrisy of the teacher, Pokkharasāti.
How so?
He says, your teacher calls people like me lowly, but he lives off handouts from King Pasenadi. He's dependent on royal charity.
Ouch.
And not only that, Pokkharasāti can't even get a face-to-face meeting with the king. He has to talk to him through a curtain. So much for his great honor and status, right? It shows his actual standing isn't as high as he pretends.
It really highlights that gap between the image they project and the reality.
Absolutely. And then the Buddha brings up the ancient Vedic seers, Hakaka, Vamaka, all these legendary figures who compose the Vedas. He asks Ambaṭṭha, did those guys live like you and your teacher do now? Pampered, perfumed, fine food, fancy chariots, guards?
And Ambaṭṭha has to say,
No, of course not. They lived simple, ascetic lives.
so the final conclusion from the Buddha is pretty blunt.
Yeah. So Ambaṭṭha, you're not a seer, and you're not even on the path to becoming a seer. Despite all the learning, they've strayed completely from the path of the very sages they claim to follow.
Okay, so Ambaṭṭha has been systematically taken apart. His arrogance, his lineage, his knowledge, his teacher status, all shown to be based on shaky ground or outright hypocrisy when measured against true spiritual attainment. What does he do now?
Well, before he leaves, he remembers his original mission. Check for the 32 marks. He looks the Buddha over, sees most of them, but he's unsure about two.
Which ones?
The sheath-enclosed male organ and the large, long tongue capable of covering the face. These are pretty specific, maybe harder to see.
Right. So how does the Buddha handle that?
Miraculously.
Yeah.
Through his psychic power, he makes both marks clearly visible to Ambaṭṭha.
Wow. So Ambaṭṭha gets his proof the Buddha does have the marks.
Yep. Now he's fully convinced, not just intellectually humbled, but also satisfied about the physical signs. So he goes back to his teacher, Pokkharasāti.
And tells him everything. The lineage stuff, the yaksha, the critique of their lifestyle.
A whole story. And Pokkharasāti's reaction is not pleased.
I bet. He's furious.
Furious. He apparently kicks Ambaṭṭha, maybe literally, maybe just throws him out. He's enraged by his students' foolishness and getting drawn into this debate and revealing their ancestry.
But then what does Pokkharasāti do? Does he just dismiss it?
No, and this is crucial. Despite his anger at Ambaṭṭha, he realizes he needs to see Gotama for himself. Immediately, he decides that very day to go visit the Buddha.
That's a really quick turnaround from fury at the messenger to seeking out the source.
It really is. It shows that Ambaṭṭha's account, however embarrassing, must have struck a deep chord. It challenged Pokkharasāti fundamentally. He couldn't just ignore it.
So the teacher goes to meet the Buddha himself.
That same night, he goes, he also checks for the 32 marks, and again, the Buddha miraculously shows him the two doubtful ones. And Pokkharasāti is also convinced, at least on that level.
And then?
He invites the Buddha and his monks for a meal the next day at his home, a sign of respect.
And after the meal, the Buddha teaches him directly.
Yes, and it's described as a progressive discourse. He starts with things Pokkharasāti, as a wealthy Brahmin, would understand and value. Generosity, the importance of morality, the rewards of a good life leading to heaven.
Building common ground.
Exactly. Then he moves deeper. The drawbacks of sensual pleasures, the suffering inherent in them, and the benefits of renunciation, of letting go.
Gently leading him towards the core teachings.
Right. And finally, he lays out the ultimate teaching. The Four Noble Truths. Suffering exists, it has a cause, craving, it can cease, and there's a path to that cessation.
The absolute heart of the Buddha's message.
And this is where the real transformation happens for Pokkharasāti. The text says his mind becomes pliant, malleable, free from hindrances, uplifted and clear, like a perfectly clean cloth ready to absorb dye.
That's a beautiful image.
Isn't it? And in that state of clarity, he attains the Dhamma-eye. He gains direct insight, realizing the fundamental truth. Whatever has the nature of rising also has the nature of cessation.
He sees impermanence directly. It's not just intellectual agreement, it's a profound, liberating insight.
Exactly. That's a key stage of awakening in Buddhism. It's a total shift in perspective.
So what does the formerly proud, curtain-shielded Brahmin do now?
He declares himself a lay follower. He takes refuge in the Buddha, the Dhamma, the teaching, and the Sangha, the monastic community. A complete conversion.
Wow.
And he asked the Buddha to consider him a follower from that day forward, and even requests that the Buddha visit his household regularly. He believes having the Buddha and monks come will bring long-term benefit and happiness to his whole family, his students, everyone who greets them.
And the Buddha agrees.
He does, accepting the invitation, acknowledging the transformation.
So quite an arc. What started as this mission based on birth, Status, checking physical marks.
Yeah, totally superficial criteria.
It turned into this incredibly deep encounter that revealed hidden truths about lineage, sure, but more importantly, completely redefined what makes someone truly superior.
Exactly. Arrogance met wisdom, superficiality met depth. And the outcome was a profound understanding that true worth lies in that inner quality, Vijjācaraṇa, knowledge and conduct, not in your family tree or social rank.
So, thinking about this ancient deep dive today, what does it mean for you listening now? We still live in a world that's obsessed with status, privilege, identity. How do we figure out what real worth looks like?
It's a powerful question.
Yeah.
This story really pushes us to look beyond the surface, doesn't it?
Mm.
To question those external markers we often rely on.
And maybe consider this. If these highly respected figures, the top Brahmin teacher and his star student, could be so fundamentally wrong about what makes someone truly great,
Yeah.
what ingrained assumptions might we be holding on to today about status, about intelligence, about wisdom? What unquestioned beliefs might be shaping our own judgments that maybe, just maybe, need a similar kind of deep dive to unravel?